Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, Chip? What's going on, everybody out there? You know who you are. You know that thing.
You know the
SEC
thing.
v Ripple XRP. You know what, Chip? Case closed. We're done with that.
It's over.
That's got to move
Ugh.
on. It is done. That's it. We're calling it.
Not
Trump
officially, but
wins. Trump wins, and Trump wins the crypto community. And there's lots of money flooding over to him via the crypto community. The crypto community knows one thing, that you vote for those who support crypto. And then after that, you know who's fired? Gensler's fired. That's who. Maybe there's some jail time for some other cronies out there that are doing some things they shouldn't be doing, but we'll see how that all goes. But we're going to talk a lot today about the election cycle and the crypto community that's supporting it. Those that are supporting, maybe they're supporting the wrong candidates. Maybe there's some candidates they should be supporting because they're the ones who've got your back. What do you say?
I said let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome, everybody, to On the Chain. Drop where you are coming in from. It's a worldwide audience. Drop in the chat. We'll put it up periodically throughout the broadcast. And let's get started. We got a lot going on today. We're going to try to get to it all. But I wanted to start off with this. Let's go look at this, Jeff. So Ripple put this tweet up here. This Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse joined CNBC Crypto World this week to discuss our contributions to partisan Fairshake PAC and how the crypto industry is coming together to be a force in the 2024 elections in the U.S. Now, Jeff, I added that. That's not really, that wasn't part of the original.
That wasn't the original post?
That wasn't the original post. I added partisan because Fairshake PAC is a partisan. As you and I broke down recently, 90% goes to Democrats. $10 million to Adam Shifty Shift, which he, if you famously remember, he went on the House floor and he talked about Trump having this call with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and made up a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't there. And then Trump checked him and said, well, here's the transcript. He released the transcript and said, none of that was said. So usually when that happens, you should be pretty much, you should just resign. You should get out of the party. I don't even know if they censured him up, but it was a pretty ridiculous thing. Anyway, he was running against that Katie Porter, who had zero chance. You're talking about Adam Schiff that's been around for 20 years in the House, recognizable name. Nobody knows Katie Porter other than the fact that she's a protege of Elizabeth Warren, and she's also in the House. She's unknown. She has no name recognition. They donated $10 million to Adam Schiff primary campaign, Shifty Shift. So anyway, yeah, if I go do a reload here, you will see that that is not part of the original post. There it is. That was just it. I may have a little bit of fun there. But it's just ridiculous.
I don't know if this is accurate. I'm looking him up, trying to see if I can find this guy. I guess it didn't come up. I found his name, but he's not in the article specifically. Trying to find the CFO of Fairshake, trying to see where he kind of leans.
The guy that runs it, the guy that runs all the PR for it, is a former staff member of ex-governor, a disgraced Governor Cuomo, and also Chuck Schumer.
What do you know? What do you know?
Yeah, if you look up one of the press releases, you'll see his name on it. Then you can look him up. But it's almost like they're trying to hide that now. Like you can't even find it anywhere. But what you can find in open secrets is you can find the donations. So that's what we've looked at. So let's watch a little bit of this. This is a good setup. Crypto World and CNBC did something. And I want you to pay close attention to this as it rolls. And they talk about some of the crypto candidates. Tell me if you notice anything about what's going on here. And then there's a little bit by Brad Garlinghouse. A little snippet from Coinbase, but let's listen to this. It's pretty good. Let's go. Here we go.
Crypto companies are banding together to be a force in the 2024 election, and they are already influencing Capitol Hill. In the past month, Coinbase, Ripple, and Andreessen Horowitz have all donated to Fairshake PAC, the fourth largest political action committee playing in 2024, currently according to Open Secrets. The group raised $160 million by the end.
Jeff, 160 million by the end of May. They've donated 0 to John Deaton, who's running against arguably the most anti-crypto candidate in the history of the United States.
So she made a mistake. The actual number total raised 177 million, almost close to 178. And they've
But that was
spent,
the end of May, though.
that was the end of May. Yeah, for the cycle of 2024. There's nothing for June yet. They'll have to report at the end of June. Cash on hand after expenditures, they're sitting on about 106 million. That was for the end of May. There you go.
Yeah. So this is why it's important. This is why you won't hear any other influencers talking about this, unfortunately, but this is important to talk about because we can all make a difference, right? And I know there's a lot, like Caroline's here from Australia. We got Jim D, we've got all the, we've got Ray the Muss.
Caroline.
Yeah, that's what I said. Caroline from Australia. And then we got Ray the Muss from New Zealand. These are people that probably would like to help out, but they can't, right? Because election rules, they can't. Even if they want to donate $5, they can't. So, but who can make a difference here is this organization, Fairshake, which they're touting as a nonpartisan, meaning that they don't have a preference. They're gonna just donate to the candidate that is pro crypto. But what we've seen is 90%, as Jeff and I have broken down, is 90% of what they have donated thus far. I'm not saying they're not going to, we're just saying up to this point, they've only 90% has gone to Democrats, and we know Democrats are the anti-crypto party. And Richie Torres, who is one of the most even crypto candidates up for re-election, they gave him a measly under $100,000, like 60 grand. Like, why would you? Here's a guy who's one of the stand-up guys on the Democrat side, who is taking a lot of incoming criticism from his Democrat colleagues, also his stance on Israel. I mean, here's a guy who's gone against his party, and he gets a piddly 60 grand. And meanwhile, they give Adam Schiff, who they said pro-crypto candidate. Jeff and I found one statement a month before he received $10 million for his primary.
That's it. There's nothing there. Not since either. It was at that point when they needed it, and then nothing since. And it's interesting also because for the most part, the trend of the party for the Democrats is to be anti-crypto, right? They're not in favor of it. They're not in favor. If they do come out, they're, it's like an Elizabeth Warren. They're focused on all the wrong things. They're making up their own storyline. They want to corrupt the narrative. And that's kind of where things are trending. And then you have a few that have bucked the system, like Darren Soto early on, working with Warren Davidson to co-sponsor the Token Taxonomy Act. There's a handful of them. So there's a handful. And then there's a handful, not even, you could probably reference maybe just one, which is Richie Torres, that has come out adamantly strong in favor of crypto. I don't know any others that there's others that have co-sponsored bills, maybe 5 or 6. But then as far as an outspoken, it's Richie Torres. Now, Richie Torres is strong on crypto. He's been very outspoken when it comes to Israel as well. But then he kind of goes off the reservation a little bit with some of his other ideas. And the problem is that he still wants to back the administration that is anti everything that he stands for. So it just doesn't make sense. It's kind of like Fetterman, but Fetterman came out and, he said that he was the progressive candidate, which still doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, he's maybe a standout candidate. He didn't adhere to all the principles and didn't support the entire belief structure of the Democrat Party, but he said that the progressives left him. No, the whole Democrat Party shifted to the left. Even the progressives, they come up with all these names. They're not progressive. They're anti-progress. They're the exact opposite. It's like adhering to, they're the Democrats. So people immediately assume, especially when immigrants come, the reason why a lot of immigrants end up going to the Democrat Party is because they've, hoodwinked them into believing that, we're the ones who support democracy. They don't understand. They use terminology against the narrative, the common narrative and logic. But that's what they do with everything. It's always about, switching things. So it's, really, really problematic. Look at that one.
Bottom line, if you vote Dem, you're not pro crypto. That's pretty
it.
pretty true. But you got to vote for guys like Richie
And-
Torres, that's out there fighting the good fight and a good guy, and has broke with Party. But yeah, he'll go with Party and other stuff. I mean, otherwise they'll basically chase him out of the party. They'll redistrict them and they'll get them out. So this is what they do when you go against party lines. We'll watch the rest of this. Let's listen in here.
End of May, and more than 1 million people have signed up to be crypto advocates with the nonprofit Stand with Crypto. Coinbase Chief Policy Officer Faryar Shahzad said the grassroots movement is a wake-up call for lawmakers who thought their constituents didn't care about blockchain.
We made a funny realization, which was that the only way we were going to get the politics out of crypto was to build a political operation that leveled the playing field and allowed the tens of millions of Americans who own crypto to be a part of the process.
Fairshake isn't planning to play in the presidential election, but adopting a bipartisan focus on House and Senate races. Fairshake and 2 affiliated PACs have spent over $37 million on ads in the primaries, according to Ad Impact. And that includes the California Senate race, where Fairshake ran ads against Katie Porter, who ultimately lost to the more pro-crypto candidate Adam Schiff. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse said now is a defining moment for crypto, and his group and others are working to play catch-up in D.C.
This is an industry that has been behind in Washington and really been on the defensive from some, I think, uneducated and sometimes intentionally or not, I'm not sure, but really those who are trying to kill crypto in the United States at a time when we want the U.S. to be one of the financial centers of this next generation technology.
Pro-crypto candidates are running in at least 2 states that will determine which party controls the Senate next year. In Ohio, Senate Banking Chairman Sherrod Brown, who has been skeptical of crypto, is facing off against Republican Bernie Moreno, who founded a blockchain.
Jeff, have you heard of either one of those candidates? Please. Please tell me if you've heard of either one of these candidates. Okay, let's listen to the next one.
Startup. And in Montana, Republican challenger Tim Sheehy praised crypto for representing the future of finance and the internet, while Senator John Tester told Meet the Press in 2022 that crypto doesn't pass the smell test. Yet lately, Tester seems to be changing his mind. He voted to overturn SEC guidance on crypto.
He voted to overturn guidance, right? That was the bill that they knew was never. This is what happens. So you got to pay attention. Do not be swayed by this ignorance. Of course he's going to vote. It's an election year. He doesn't want to seen as the anti-crypto guy, so he votes for pro for something that is going to get vetoed. It's like it's so ridiculously obvious, but I mean maybe not to many. But here we go. 2 candidates. Now I know she in Montana. I've never heard of the other 2 candidates, but you know who they missed there? The biggest omission is how come they didn't mention John Deaton, who's running against Elizabeth Warren?
You really have to think about that. That's, are they afraid to put money into John Deaton's campaign that is going to unseat an incumbent that supposedly has some, power stranglehold over, members of Congress or maybe over, Washington somehow. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they love about Elizabeth Warren. I don't know, why they want to keep her there. I don't know what the motivation is for, this Fairshake to ignore, or even CNBC to ignore that there's a strong candidate. And it's not like these other guys. We're, in these smaller states. We're not talking about Montana. We're talking about Massachusetts.
600,000 people, Jeff, live in Montana, right?
We're talking about a huge upset. We're not talking about a small upset where the majority of the people around the U.S. have no idea who they are. And I'm glad, hey, support the Republican candidate. Got to get rid of, the other guy. But the thing is, in this scenario, John Deaton is not just raising a huge amount of money, gaining big recognition, gaining big supporters. You have Mark Cuban coming out to support John Deaton.
Who, Jeff?
That's media. That's an attention grabber against an incumbent like Elizabeth Warren, who very well could be unseated in a few months.
And Mark Cuban is 100% Democrat, right? But he believes in crypto. And so him to break ranks with his basic belief system, you know, I mean, there was some things going back and forth between Bill Ackman had commented, and he was calling Bill Ackman on the table like, you guys don't know what you're talking about, you know, because he was talking about being pro-Trump and everything. So it was ridiculous. Hi from the Margate UK just finished an 8-hour shift. Still got time for you guys. Thank you, Anthony. Really appreciate that. Great for you to be here, man. And so, Jeff, this is like some of the things that, like, it's hard to believe. And let's face it, CNBC does you know, tend to go, it's a little more on the left, where you have Fox Business, which tends to be a little more central right leaning. This is more left leaning, but still, how can you ignore? Now, maybe the reason they're not talking about it is because there was a primary race where John Deaton and the Democrat plant are going to face off. But let's face it, there's a lot to be worried about. That guy has zero support. I don't see any. Ted Nugent. Yeah, Ted Nugent would be pretty good as well. Let's listen in the rest of this here.
And a move that was praised by the industry. And he told me that he's looking at a couple of crypto bills and called it 21st century stuff.
Now, one thing people are watching closely is just how much crypto matters to voters, especially in comparison to issues like abortion or the economy, which has gotten them to the polls in the past.
When we see polls about what issues voters most care about, crypto never really shows up in any of the top ones. But what Stand With Crypto as well as Fairshake PAC are kind of hoping to do is to say, hey, there is a group that cares about it. They do want to be taken seriously. They do want to have a more coordinated message than maybe what we saw with previous elections. And, you know, previously in 2022 with the midterms, it was Sam Bankman-Fried who made a lot of headlines with his donations and his giving. And I think now a lot
funneled back from the money that was donated to the Ukraine donated back to FTX, and FTX back to the candidates. Right. That's called money laundering any other way, except if you work in Congress. That's just called the way it works.
A lot of the folks with crypto, with Ripple, with Coinbase, with Andreessen Horowitz, they want to present a little bit more as adults in the room, as folks who aren't, you know, sort of part of the wild west of crypto, but rather have a coordinated message and a coordinated plan about the importance that crypto can play in the financial system.
And at the same time, we're still waiting to see if major crypto legislation moves forward on Capitol Hill. The Fit for the 21st Century Act, you know, that regulatory framework for crypto, is waiting on...
Yeah, you know the one that was authored and put forth out of committee for the first time. You know that one, right? You
know that thing.
You know the thing, right? So that got on the floor, and then you saw the people who are in the election cycle who voted yes on it. And what? It was 19 or 20 of them. They said, it's a nonpartisan bill, Jeff. It was nonpartisan vote. Well, when more than 60%, 70% of your party votes against it, I don't really consider that. Yes, nonpartisan means some from both sides, but it's not an equal nonpartisan. So it's just
a vote from the Senate. The question is whether Congress can make progress on that or any other crypto bills before this current term ends.
That's enough on that.
Mm-hmm. So this is interesting. This one is going to be really interesting. Let me put this up. She had mentioned Stand With Crypto. Another PAC similar to
joined. Yeah.
Fairshake. So you have 1.1 million advocates in the U.S. This is all about the. Here's the presidential race. The resident in the White House is against. Look at that big rated D against crypto. You vote for this guy. You're voting to basically flush your crypto investment. If you're a developer, anything that you're spending on building, you're flushing it all down the toilet. That's it. You vote for that guy. You vote for his party. 2024, 2025 will be the beginning. We're in the beginning, but that'll be the beginning of hammering the last nail in the coffin of crypto in the US. That's it. So that's this guy. Trump comes out strongly in support of, because he's strongly in support of business and innovation and making America the greatest place it ever could be, because he supports crypto. And
yeah, by the way, Jeff, he was on the All In pod, and it was amazing to me to see that he was on the All In podcast. We played a little bit from Chamath Palihapitiya the other day, and so they interviewed him. And I got to tell you, of course, they're all they're all big, millionaire, billionaire type business guys who built businesses that were innovative and did well. And so it was one of the best interviews that I've ever seen. And one of the things I think it did too was it humanized Trump. Trump was just being Trump, right? It was just him for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, just talking about all serious subjects, right? And I highly urge you to go take a look at it. It's called All In Pod. I believe that's the name of it. But it was fantastic. And so, Jeff, let's get to.
Hang on, let me go.
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
let me go through this list real quick, because if you look at those that are in support of, those that are against, and it's not just against, but Elizabeth Warren is strongly against.
Yeah, and Sherman
Brad
too.
Sherman strongly against. Robert Marshall, Republican in Kansas. We'd have to pull that up, but he's strongly against it. Might as well just be a Democrat at that point. Robert Kennedy apparently is strongly supportive, and he's just a political figure. He's an independent. And then we kind of go down the list. Here's a Democrat, supportive, strongly supportive. Then you got Republican. It's another independent. But if you look down the list, couple Democrats, lots and lots of Republicans in this list.
Yeah, a good ton of them, right? So
it's another Jim Costa. So I'm trying to really look through this, and if you guys go to the website, go check it out. Obviously, Matt Gaetz, strongly supportive right here in Florida. Nice, good. We have good congressional representation in the great state of Florida. But you guys can see this list kind of on your own. You can see different endorsements of. If you want to go and donate to them, you can go straight through their website, and you can look at the different bills that have been promoted. Look at all these somewhat pro crypto, very pro crypto, and who voted against the SAB 121? Who shot that down? Oh yeah, the Democrats.
Yeah, they did. Well, except for the ones who were in tight election cycles, they had to pretend like it was going to get vetoed anyway. It's ridiculous. Let's segue here. Let's go to this.
Things.
So just commenting on this, I was saying, that Fairshake seems to be a partisan organization with 90% of its donations in support of Democrats over Republicans. As you mentioned, Jeff, the Republicans, as the pro-crypto party, authored the FIT 21 bill, which passed the House. Democrats, on the other hand, mostly anti-crypto, right? With the few we just mentioned. Fairshake has not yet supported John Deaton, who's running against Elizabeth Warren, arguably the most anti-crypto member of Congress. And I say arguably because maybe Brad Sherman is the other one, but he's less influential as far as the party is concerned. Fairshake contributed $10 million to Adam Schiff's primary race, which he was in no danger of losing. Schiff barely pro-crypto, to say the least, while Deaton successfully represented 76,000 XRP holders against the SEC. Meanwhile, prominent pro-crypto candidate, Richie Torres, he's a Democrat, he received $63,000. Now, you give a guy who's so pro-crypto in a party that's mostly 95% anti-crypto, $63,000, yet you give Adam Schiff, who made one pro-crypto statement that we could locate, and all of a sudden now he is the pro-crypto candidate, and it wasn't even, it's not even the race, it was the primary race, right? So you have to win a primary here in the States. People battle for that Republican. So you might have 2 or 3 different people, and whoever wins the primary is the one who faces off in November in the general election. That's how it works. Right. Fairshake, could you provide transparency and explain why you've not contributed to John Deaton's campaign? And what are your thoughts, Mr. Garlinghouse? And
I'm sure
I don't know, Jeff. Huh?
Did they respond? Did we get
There's no response yet. I mean, in all fairness, I just some other people, Moonchaser said, Moonchaser responded. That's about it. Moonchaser said, is it true, Fairshake, you've not supported John Deaton? I would like to understand why, given all he's done for the Ripple case, right? So and moreover too, let's say the XRP community, right? 76,000 people who joined that. Let's see anything in history that had that many folks join in. It's going to be a tough one to match for sure.
I got One-Eyed Willie. I've never voted before, and I just got my registration confirmation. I'm voting pro crypto. He continues, I think Trump and Roberts are the people's last hope. Trump definitely is the people's last hope. That's it. I mean, there's nothing on the other side without that. It's, You have to really look. Now, One Eye Willie did say, why didn't Trump support crypto when he was in office and he watched Jay Clayton soup Ripple as he walked out? I want to say that was right at the end, right? We're talking about December, right at the end. And he walks out, he leaves. What at that point it falls into the SEC hands. Now, the one thing that could be said is that overall the SEC was relatively quiet on crypto for all the years that Trump was in office. You didn't see a lot of activity. I think he might have had a couple statements where he was probably learning about crypto at that time. Think about 2016 to 2020. 2016, crypto was still brand new, right?
Yeah.
It really hadn't gained any kind of notoriety or momentum in mainstream yet in 2016. It was 2018 started getting a little bit of attention and focus. Trump wasn't thinking about crypto at that time. 2020, and think about it, it's only now, right? 2024, where it's actually gaining mainstream attention from a political election cycle. So whether he saw it, didn't see it, was it going to be a survivor? Was it not? The jury may or may not have still been out. And, to that point, but that's why he didn't have a focus on it. I don't think anybody today still has any clue as to why Jay Clayton decided to drop this major lawsuit on Ripple on his way out. At the time, you have to bring things into context that in 2020, Warren Davidson had brought the Token Taxonomy Act multiple times in front of Congress to try to get regulatory clarity. Now, remember, it's Congress that gets to write the laws, right? The president doesn't get to write laws. You can pass executive orders that get overturned when the next president comes in, but overall, it's not a positive to rule via executive order because it's not a law. It's not binding. Versus if it goes through Congress and they can pass regulatory clarity through legislation, then it's binding, and so you can't forget those facts. So at that point, 2020, Congress, these bills were going in front of Congress and getting zero attention. The Token Taxonomy Act went in front of Congress and died, Here comes Jay Clayton on his way out. And I'm not saying this is why he did it. And Chip and I have workshopped it many times and discussed it, that the fastest way to regulatory clarity was through the court system. It wasn't at the time through the political. Still today, 4 years on, you think these jackasses in Congress are still voting? We had the SAB 121 was overruled and turned down. The FIT 21 passed through Congress. You think it's going to get voted through in the Senate? No, it's not going to get voted through in the Senate.
No.
I mean, so how do you get regulatory clarity? You know how you get regulatory clarity? It goes through the court system. The only digital asset that has any kind of legality to it right now because of the court, the way the court decided on it, is XRP. How crazy is that, right? And so can you then determine and make a determination or decision as to why Jay Clayton decided to drop this major lawsuit? Who's the biggest benefactor today of the lawsuit? XRP is the biggest benefactor. I'm not saying that was his motivation, but if you want to look at the rainbow on the other side, that's the biggest benefactor. The other biggest benefactor is that this court case has hyper focused the community's attention, and I want to say, even from a political perspective, have hyper focused onto crypto because of the fact that Gary Gensler, at this point, who has been running the lawsuit against Ripple for the past 4 years, has done so in such a bad way that it's now shedding a lot of light onto the motivations of the party that he represents. Again, why did Jay Clayton do it? Was it motivated? Was there political motivation at the time? Was he looking? What was the actual causation of it? There's so many different factors as to why you're like, here you go, here's a hand grenade, and I'm done. I'm walking out. And then shortly thereafter, we know what happened with the election. But Chip,
Yeah,
where,
so-
where am I wrong on this? I feel
I don't
like
think you're wrong at
people
all.
don't put all the pieces together
I
properly.
don't think you're wrong at all. But something else that I would share, right? So during the time, people say Trump wasn't pro crypto, but you know what Trump was pro? Early days, people, yeah. I mean, I don't like the way he pushed the vax. I'm not a fan of that. He gave people a choice, but also the lockdowns were supposed to go until they came up with a solution for 4 or 5 years. They wanted to keep everybody locked down. They wanted to keep it buttoned up, and this vaccine was the one that opened it up and gave people a choice. But very early on, he got criticized for HCQ, hydrochloroquine, which works. It's now come. There's peer-reviewed studies that says that yes, it has worked, and also ivermectin. He was pro on both of those. He said we could basically give out HCQ to everybody, and we could just put this to the rest. He laughed at, written articles, ivermectin. Trump's saying paste, and he talked about bleach in one case, and they said, oh, Trump's telling you to now take bleach. This is how dishonest this mainstream media is. Now, what if Trump comes out pro Bitcoin? What would at that point the Democrat side of it, if he came out pro Bitcoin is the greatest thing ever, what do you think would have happened to Bitcoin? What do you think that the powers that be and the Democrats would have done? They would have gone mentally ill, even times 10, and they would have tried to do everything they could to kill it. And I'm not saying that was the reason, but everything Trump was pro got destroyed. Right? There was always something going on. I'm trying to find this one. And look at this. So Ben Peterson says, but Trump will continue America's endless wars around the globe. This is another lie, because if you know anything about history, and we only got to go back 3.5 years, Trump was the only president in the last 50 years that wasn't involved in some kind of conflict, going all the way back to John Kennedy. Okay, John F. Kennedy. So he was the only one that didn't have conflicts around the world, that didn't start any new wars. Okay, he was a peace guy. Strength, peace through strength. This is the guy. This is patently false right here, but you can understand why if you read the next statement. Then you know exactly what we're dealing with here. Okay, so you're on the wrong side of history, and that's fine. That's your. But as far as I'm concerned, you're on the wrong side of history, because you're throwing out stuff. Yeah, he's going to be a wartime president. The only guy that's telling you that he can end the conflict in Ukraine within 24 hours. Right? The guy that walked across the demarcation zone from South Korea to North Korea shook hands, right? And the Rocket Man no longer was shooting up rockets, right? So he's the guy that was able to end conflict. So that's, when I see this kind
Russia,
of stuff.
Chip, the same thing in Russia. When did Russia invade Georgia? Oh yeah, wasn't under Trump.
That's right. It wasn't under
Russia
Trump.
invade Ukraine? Oh yeah, wasn't under Trump.
Thank you for pointing that out. Alchemist says.
Oh, sorry.
Alchemist says voting pro crypto is the way to go for sure.
That's right.
Put the other one up.
You got to do that. Now, this goes back to also where Trump stood at the time, right? Put everything into context, and he probably still is very pro USD, and
No.
which is Trump isn't pro USD.
Not if you hear. Not if you go. Listen, he did at the time say that.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
But whose photo? Who did he have? Whose president did he have hanging in the Oval Office? Oh, that's right, the guy that got rid of the second central bank. That guy.
He's not against the U.S. dollar. He
well,
would be
but
against
he
the
also
Federal Reserve and the backing of the U.S. dollar.
Trump will
by
destroy
gold.
the Fed. The Fed's going away, and he made moves with the Fed and the Treasury to kind of set it up. But the Federal Reserve is going away. It enslaves people. Any central bank is a debt instrument that enslaves populations, because now you got to work. You got to pay off this debt. The debt gets bigger. It never goes away. And who knows what buttons the Fed's pressing over there. That's just my summation. But I also think too that they go like, well, Trump's pandering with the pro crypto. These are policies. And if he says on the tax code, hey, would it be great if we went back to the way the founders intended, the founders of the U.S. that said, well, the government will be funded through tariffs, and he raises it, and then you got like guys like Larry Summers coming out and say it will cause. And Larry Summers, a very respected, also a very pro-Trump guy, but saying that it will collapse the system. Well, also when he put the tariffs on China, they said your iPhone's going to now cost $5,000. Well, never changed, and they were paying 50% tariffs, and he was giving that money to help fund the farmers, right? So you could see that the funding action was working, and you tell people that they don't have to pay these outrageous, in a 30% tax bracket, 35% tax bracket. That was the whole reason that was one of the main impetuses of the reason the U.S., the Boston Tea Party you know, you had taxation without representation. We're back to that point, and we're paying. And that, Jeff, what was it back then? 2 or 3% they were getting, and they were like flipping out about it.
It's amazing where we're at today. The amount of taxes that are paid is so absurd, and that's why Trump came out and he said that he wants to get rid of taxes on tips. Right? You want a fast way to helping people that work in the service industry that get tips. Take away the taxes on the tips. You know, it's such a short path. Don't raise the minimum wage to $20 and force businesses out of business and force skyrocketing prices. I was talking to someone in California yesterday, and he was telling me how expensive food is now because of the $20 minimum wage.
Well, 10,000 people were laid off.
Everything into a right. So you got to do things smart. If they exist on tips now in the fast food industry, they're probably not existing on tips, but the tips seem to be finding its way to every industry now. But here you go, Alchemist. You know what we need to do? Free crypto.
Right.
And I think that's there you
well,
go.
Jeff, another
free crypto from blockchain to blockchain. There you go. That's what we need.
One more thing I want to say about this whole minimum wage
economic
thing, right?
freedom.
So
gold standard.
It used to be the tips, you know, you like, especially in the United States, right? So I don't know, tipping isn't necessarily, so a lot of the money that servers make, bartenders make, you know, the service-based industry is based upon tips. I don't know. It's our tradition here in the US. I was in the UK trying to tip a bartender. He's like, I don't understand, sir. What's this for? I'm like, this is £2. Just take it. He goes, for what? Do you want another drink? Like, they wouldn't take it. The concept of tipping is not there, but in the US, it's a funny. Now, here's the thing. 20 years ago, you go into a restaurant, you plop down a bill, you might put your card in there, but the tip would always be in cash, right? So maybe you don't report it, right? You take the cash, stick it in your pocket, and good. But 95% of tips today, you know, especially if you're going through a line and you just like, it's a fast food thing and it says, you want a tip? And you say, yeah, I want to give 15 or 25% tip. You tip them, it goes on a card. That is all reported. So now there's no way you can't report that now, right? And I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying that it's all credit card based. So eliminating that tip and the tax on it, you don't have to report that anymore. And it's the way to fund people. It's a way to give them more money with like what Jeff said, without doing that. I wanted to put this up here. Jimbo came back on this last comment we started with. Ripple doesn't control Fairshake. They're just one contributor. And he's right about that.
It's true.
However, I said, well, perhaps Ripple should reconsider donating to a partisan super PAC. It's well known that Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse hold John Deaton in high regard. Here's Garlinghouse last year at Ripple's proper party in New York, which I attended, and here it is right here.
December 22nd, 2020, right before Christmas, and the goddamn SEC is suing me. Like, I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of a dark time. And out of nowhere comes a ray of sunshine, and that sunshine is named John Deaton.
Okay, so you can't hear it through the cheering, but he says, and then came a ray of sunshine, and that ray of sunshine is named John Deaton, right? I don't know if you guys can hear it.
You can hear it.
Of course, this is my video, Jeff, and I couldn't find John Deaton. But I knew he was up there, so I'm like, that's not, where's John? And I finally found him. Thank God the cheering went on for a while. And there he is.
John Deaton, Jeremy Hogan, James Filan. I know Jeremy and James are here somewhere. You guys were freaking awesome. Honestly, I watched the videos as soon as they came out. I understand what's going on. You guys are the best.
I don't know if you hear that, but he said, I had to watch your videos to find out what was going on. You guys are the best.
The thing I think we all learned is it does take a village to fight a bully, and this village beat the bully.
That's really great. And Chip, you know, to that point, that's just so solid. It shows that there's good, passionate people out there. It also shows who John Deaton is. So when Fairshake doesn't come out to immediately support him in the primary is kind of crazy, because he's the one who has been active of anybody, of any candidate. He has been the most active and supportive of the crypto community. And it's interesting because One Eye Willie said, do you think that the SEC underestimated Ripple and the XRP holders? I think number one, yes, they did underestimate Ripple. I again, it's the length of time. Gensler could have ended this at some point. They could have taken a different path, but their objective was to completely annihilate, dismantle the direction crypto was going in. From if you go after Ripple as one of the biggest companies that is representative of a builder in the space, go after them. They have deep pockets, but I think they underestimated how passionate Ripple would be and the team would be to fight back, and how much money they're willing to spend to fight back. And that was before Deaton even tried to intervene on behalf of the XRP holders. I think they also underestimated the XRP holders from the perspective that John Deaton was the wild card that nobody anticipated. Not,
He's the
the
reason they
SEC
won.
definitely did not. Right. They definitely did not anticipate that this asbestos attorney that in Massachusetts or Rhode Island would say, hey, you know what they're doing is wrong. I'm now going to file a motion to intervene, and I'm going to start working to galvanize the crypto supporters, the XRP supporters behind this. And I don't even know if John Deaton knew the level of support that would jump in behind him. 70,000+ people. The SEC definitely didn't see that coming. When is it that the SEC goes after a company in support of the public interest, saying we're there to help support you, and then those that you're claiming to support come after, intervene against you? 70,000 people come in again. So I think definitely unseen. Do you think it would have been easier for the SEC to go after a smaller They did. They dismantled it, and you don't hear anything about it. It's so irrelevant. They went after Kick. They destroyed that company, that Canadian company operating here. They've gone after others. They've destroyed them, and you don't hear anything about them. But it's irrelevant because those companies were irrelevant in the space. They were crypto companies, but they were, not to say they were relevant overall. It was important because they were builders. We want them here further building the community, but they were irrelevant from a political points perspective. You dismantle and destroy a small company, nobody knows. No one's going to hear about it.
They didn't have the
Nobody's
arsenal to fight
passionate.
back.
You go after Ripple, and the media hears about it. That is like that's the kingpin. They went right after the mafia boss, and that's it. They're going after the boss. Like if you're playing a video game. If you're playing a video game and you fight all these characters and you get to the end of that segment and you're fighting the boss, they went straight to the boss. That's it. They're like, hey, let's take out Ripple.
Well, it cost them $175 to $200 million. The only ones that could have really stood up and fought. But here's the difference. They didn't bend the knee. They said, screw this. You guys are wrong. They tried to settle multiple times. This is where you have all these other crypto influencers who can't even do basic homework and research to know that they were trying to settle with them. Garlinghouse's own words, but it's going to settle. It's going to settle. It's going to settle. I mean, these people are absolutely ridiculous. Mark Smithson was at the proper party. He said he was hammered and leaning against the wall trying to keep standing. So there you go. There you have it. But so Stuart Alderati, this is so funny because Coinbase put an article out. Or not Coinbase, sorry, CoinDesk, which does such bad reporting, especially with Ripple. They've got a vengeance, hate against Ripple, the company, and XRP, treated very badly. But they deleted their post because Stu Alderati called them to the mat. He said, to be clear, because they got it wrong again about XRP, but the court case in California, he said the California judge dismissed all allegations suggesting that Ripple violated federal securities laws. The New York ruling that XRP is not a security stands undisturbed. And he went on to say that one state law claim based on 2017 statement is going to trial. That plaintiff, who didn't buy directly from Ripple and can't say if he even heard the statement before he traded, allegedly lost a couple $100. We look forward to that cross-examination. That sounds like there you go. That sounds like a setup right there. Then we got Brad Garlinghouse, weighing in. CoinDesk side, because CoinDesk gets it wrong every time, but they deleted the damn post. Garlinghouse said, as many have noticed and some have already pointed out, there have been numerous misleading and some factually inaccurate headlines describing the decision made by a California judge yesterday in the California class action suit about XRP. I'm happy to see some that are correct in them. I wish I could tag and link them all here. Well, you can tag us, Brad Garlinghouse. You can also come on the show and talk about it if you want. To be absolutely clear, it's a big win. All class action claims in the suit were dismissed, and absolutely nothing in the decision negates or changes the fact that XRP is, in of itself, not a security per the New York court decision, and the California ruling dismissed all allegations that Ripple had somehow violated federal securities law by XRP. As for the single statement claim that now scheduled for trial, the sole plaintiff didn't buy it from Ripple. Can't say if he even heard the statement, doesn't know anything. This is a clear example of the trolls that unsuccessfully tried to take advantage of the U.S. legal system and distort statements to seek hundreds of millions of dollars in class action. You lost a couple $100. Welcome to crypto, my friend. You're lucky you got away with a couple
more than that.
Yeah, it was a lost. Okay. I mean, I lost a couple hundred, right? It was like he lost a couple hundred in a matter of what it was like 30 days, something like that.
I lost a couple hundred at dinner. What the?
I mean, he's just walking to a casino and you're already fleeced by you walk out. And lastly, regarding any misleading statements, I stand by what I said, and I'm looking forward to shedding light on it during the trial. One thing I would give Ripple all the credit in the world, they never bent the knee. They stood up, they throat punch back. You attack them, they attack back. It sounds like Trump to me. You punch Trump, he punches you 2 times harder, and everybody punches him, and everybody doesn't like the Trump mean tweets. Listen, he's the only president that's ever fought back. You had George W. Bush, who was a loser, rhino loser, a disgrace, actually, and he would just sit there and take it. They'd punch him, and he would just smile and look like an idiot that he was. Never fought back. Trump, everybody goes after Trump 24/7. It's the assassinate, crush Trump all the time statements. And so, yeah, he's the guy that fights back. And if you want to F around, you can find out. And most people do find out. There we go. Yeah, I'm doing it. I just have to say, Jeff, it's like, sometimes I get a little riled up. I was going on a Jeff style ramp right over there.
Here's another one right here from Mark Smithson. TDS is a real disease. Since I'm not looking to date my next POTUS, I'll vote for the convicted felon who saved my company and 27 American jobs and made the world a beautiful place.
There you go. Trump derangement syndrome is what TDS stands for. In case you had any wonder of what that meant. And then we have this other Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing, man.
It really is.
Oh
it is
my
a real thing.
God, it's so funny. It is so funny. Here we go. Bill Morgan.
Gensler's not fired. No, he's not fired.
Let's talk about Bill Morgan. Gensler's not fired. Of course he's not fired. Let's
clickbait. Oh, wait.
Oh,
Gensler
well, he's
fired. Or is this just clickbait?
Well, you have to, if you caught the original, he said that with the new administration, he will be fired. That's why you got to show up on time, my friend.
You have to show up on time. That's
it's not
true.
Clickbait. We said exactly what it was. Gensler is fired with the incoming new administration if it happens to be Trump. Otherwise,
what a douche. Not wasting my time with a channel like this, blocking it. Well, you're blocked too, you're blocked too.
Yeah, block this guy right here. Go ahead and block him so he can't come in here and make stupid comments. Pay attention. You got to get up a little bit earlier to figure it out. But yeah, that's how the show works. Meanwhile, wait, we have Clickbait. First part of the show, we talked about it, Jeff.
Exactly.
Gensler's fired. Gensler's fired with the new administration. Meanwhile, everybody else has the clickbait in the world. And yeah, okay. Keep watching Crypto Hulk, my friend. Good luck.
That's right. Yeah. Watch the guy who sits on the floor and talks. Who's that guy?
Yeah, that's Crypto Hulk.
Oh, that's Crypto Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in there saying, well, you got that wrong. And then everyone started blocking me in there. So, Bill Morgan, who has been following this case very closely, and we had the distinct honor to meet Bill and hang out with him at the Wave of Innovation in Australia. Bill's a really smart guy. So David Joelcat Schwartz said, imagine two people here. Let me pull this off since they always can't show you the whole thing. Imagine two people, Alice and Bill. Alice has sold a lot of Bitcoin recently. Bill has not. Which is more likely to be long Bitcoin? And everybody said, well, Bill, right? Because Alice sold hers.
Just show the results. 39%. People just show the results.
Just show the results.
Tell us what your answer is.
I like Julian Williams's answer here. He says, I choose Alice but I need more information. I'm assuming Alice is more experienced trader who sells high and rebuys lower. That's the smarter comment right there. And then we've got Bill Morgan who says, are you talking about Brad selling XRP when he said he was long XRP? Yeah, that sounds about correct. If you're long XRP and the price rises, wouldn't you sell XRP? Joel Katz said, when I was long Bitcoin, I sold when I needed anything to pay taxes, buy a new computer, and so on. More and more companies were taking Bitcoin during the first big bull runs precisely because that's what everyone long, early miners and buyers were doing. Bill chimed in and said, well, that makes sense to me. Mark Fagel, who is a former SEC prosecutor, he said, the question is whether the representation is misleading under a scalping theory. But that's typically in the penny stock pump and dump context. Bill said, well, as I understand it, part of the remuneration was payment in XRP. He took a risk leap of faith doing it and is consistent with the fact that he would be long XRP, but still sell or need to sell some at least, which, Jeff, was pretty much our opinion from day one. Everyone's like, well, he sold this thing and he said he was long XRP. You don't know how much he had. Yeah, you know how much he sold because his wallet's public, but you don't know. I guarantee he probably has more than a lot of us put together. Just because you sell some of it. I'm long on Bitcoin too, but guess what? I sold Bitcoin when it 4x. I was like, woohoo! But no one told me it's going to $60,000, $70,000. You know.
Okay, here's one from Sophie. Anybody notice that the SEC letter to ETH came out of the Chicago SEC office? It's interesting where they come out of too. You know, why are they coming out so pro ETH? That's what, you know. There's something else in terms of the Ethereum Foundation. There's definite, you know, pivot. The first one that had potential business technology with smart contracts. But why are they so passionate about ETH over all of them? That's the like kind of the unknown question. The ETH pass, and that's what it is. And there you go, ETH pass 2.0.
No, that's incorrect. Let's workshop this because a lot of people got this wrong.
And before we workshop it, Alchemist said nothing will happen until regulation. So 2026, 100%. I agree.
100%. So look, let's workshop this a little bit here because everybody got this wrong, and I was thinking a little bit too early on the celebration, people.
Jim, you made fun of him for selling XRP for solar panels.
No, he didn't sell XRP for solar. No, he sold ETH for solar panels to the tune of $80 million. He lost $80 million. He bought solar panels for a house he no longer even owns. That's why I made fun of him.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I mean, obviously he didn't have the foresight to know where it was going, but the amount of ETH that he sold for like a $60,000 solar panel was then fast forward to when he brought it up was worth what, like 80 million or whatever it was. It was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, that's the. Here, I'm trying to find the correct order here to be able to talk about. Oh crap!
So the question is, where does XRP go? That's the $1 million question that we want to answer. That's what we're going to workshop.
Actually, we're going to talk about this ETH thing now that Sophie brought it up.
I meant to type CoinGecko.
CoinGecko. So here you go. You got Stuart Alderati said a big. He was talking about this post. A big win for consensus though questions remain. Does this mean the SEC thinks consensus offers sales of ETH are not securities transactions, or the ETH itself not a security? What will Gensler say now if asked? What's the status of the MetaMask and the staking? Neil Hartner, who is a developer over at Ripple, said the plan. You're going to say that you're investigating us, and then shortly later send us a letter that you close the investigation so we can make it public and then advertise it on social media. Right? But here's the real thing. So I said, yet everybody's on X is celebrating ETH is not a security. But let's go to Mark Fagel's point that said, are you saying that ETHgate's not real? Neil Hartner, I don't know, but closing an investigation less than 2.5 months after sending a Wells notice has got to be an SEC record. Well, thank you for Mark Fagel for clarifying here. He said, no, they did not send a Wells notice on consensus ETH sales. Rather, the Wells notice related to a separate earlier investigation of consensus staking and MetaMask products. And that appears to be heading towards an enforcement action. So this celebration is all bullshit. It was about the staking product. They closed the investigation. Do you notice they didn't say, because otherwise there was nobody even celebrating that ETH's not a security. No, they were like, yay, the SEC is not suing us. Yeah, for the staking and MetaMask. But as Mark points out right here, it appears to be heading towards an enforcement action. So there you go. When did they get notice from the SEC that they were being investigated for e-sales? The formal order was entered in March 2023, although we don't know how long the SEC was investigating before that. So all this stuff, again, got it wrong, celebrating, couldn't do a little bit of basic research, can't look and read stuff for themselves to know even what that was. And it wasn't the Wells notice for that. And the Wells notice was speculation anyway. So,
Chip, another way to look at it, he spent $1,000 on ETH and bought $60,000 solar
that
panels.
is another way to look at it. And listen, we've all been there, but all I said is, should we take investment advice from a guy that does that? You shouldn't take investment advice from me. I don't give it. But a guy that bought in the 200, just under $300 range and bought a lot of Bitcoin, but then sold it when it topped out at like under $900 and was super ecstatic. This guy, don't take investment advice from me either. I mean, that was a dumb thing to do, knowing that it could have been millions of dollars just in a couple of years. So look, we've all been there. I'm not saying I'm immune from what David Schwartz did, but I'm just saying, should we take investment advice from a guy like that? Although David Schwartz was right when it hit $1.92, he's like, maybe you ought to take profits. Maybe you shouldn't put everything. Right. Maybe you shouldn't.
That was
and then it's almost like it went right off the cliff after he said that.
We should have listened to him.
That's when we should have listened to him right there. So
everybody should have listened. That's the XRP advice. We should.
Now we should have listened to him. I see, Jeff. Yeah,
should have listened. But here's the one thing that is noticed, right? If we look at these little tiny red graphs over the last 7 days, Bitcoin, negative drop. Ethereum, lots of big ups and downs, red. Tether has to be relatively green, short moves because it's stable, supposed to be. BNB red. All these reds. USDC also very stable. Look what else is very stable, with only a little up and down here, but overall it almost matches a Tether and a USDC, right? The same little, it doesn't have as tight of up and down moves like that, but look at this. Consistent on the line. XRP consistent, holding that 48 to 50 cent mark. So stable. It's amazing how stable that it is. Everything else red, and it just plummets, until you get to another stable coin, and it looks very comparable. All the stable coins look very comparable and fit, and XRP just fits right in there. Look at that.
Well, don't worry,
movement.
They have a stable coin coming out, so don't worry, Jeff. We're not going to be too far away from it. We have a couple minutes.
Stable coin in existence.
Tyler Winklevoss.
Put yours.
Tyler Winklevoss donated $1 million in Bitcoin. That's 15.47 Bitcoin to Donald Trump. He'll be voting for it in November. Here's why. Talks about the Biden administration declared war against crypto. He goes on to say, here's some of the lowlights: the weaponization of the banking system against crypto companies and their principles. Conversation goes something like this: yeah, that's a nice bank you got there. It would sure be a shame if something were to happen to it because you bank some crypto folks. If this tactic is not enough to scare a bank into line, then the examiners will be sent to turn everything upside down. This almost certainly lead to some finding. Show me the bank and I'll show you the crime, the results, so talks about agencies having God mode over banks because they can yank their license or FDIC deposit insurance at any time, citing safety and soundness concerns. The weaponization of Securities and Exchange Commission. Biden administration, SEC has not written a single rule for the crypto industry to help any of its participants understand how to navigate the regulatory landscape.
$1 million.
Goes on to say we can't go through all this, but he clearly lays it out. Now, there's the Winklevoss twins right there, and then his brother, the other twin, came in and said, I just donated $1 million in Bitcoin. Here's the too long didn't read. Trump is pro-Bitcoin, pro-business, pro-crypto, and I'll put an end to the Biden administration's war on crypto. Onward. Any questions? Boom. I don't have any, Jeff. That's the time. That's the show. Let's get out of here.
Wrap it in this last minute. We have 1 minute. Quick. Scotty, U.S. Senate candidate John Deaton fought for XRP holders in court. Now he needs your help fighting Elizabeth Warren. If you can't, please donate any amount of money to him before the June 30th, 2024 quarter 2 deadline. Thank you, Scotty, for posting that. make sure you guys go look up John Deaton for Senate. Maybe we can throw a link in there.
I donate every month.
One Eye Willie. I donate to John every work check I get. And then Alchemist said, by the way, how stable is it? And when we think about it, 2 XRP equals 1 Ripple buck.
I got to tell you, Alchemist has been on point. I mean,
yes, on point.
On point. He's been on point about pretty much everything. We get to get Alchemist as a guest on here. Or call in anonymously.
That'd be awesome. We should have him call in with the alchemy. Sophie, great show, great chat. Thanks for all you guys do. Catch you on the next one.
That's our line. We'll see you on the next one.
Looking good, Chip.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that, Hitman. Appreciate it. Appreciate that.
Scotty.
There we go. Great show. Well, guys, listen, we loved it. We're going to be back on Sunday night? Tomorrow night.
That's right. Eddie, appreciate you.
Thanks.
Dash, Ripple doesn't need a stable coin. Just use XRP. Look at that. Jeff and Chip, can you look into the lawyers of Debt Box and see where they went? They should be whistleblowers. The Debt Box.
Look at that. Don't get on that rabbit hole, Jeff. We'll save it for tomorrow night.
And right, exactly. And on that note, it's time to go out and pull weeds before the temps hit 97. Enjoy the day. XRP will be $5 when I get done. Thank you, Mark.
What 2032?
Like, yeah, it's
it'll be done in 2032, 2033
one by one.
Nice. Love that. All right, guys, that's all the time. We appreciate everybody coming in here. Anthony, appreciate you staying with us after your long 8-hour shift, man. Appreciate that as well. And that's it, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with some more rants, raves, opinions. You know what they say about opinions. So
Thank you, and good.
Other holes, everyone has one, Jeff.
Sorry.
So, you know what they say about that, but they're ours, and it's our show, so we talk about it. But we can put your opinions, whether we agree with them or not. We do put them up there. And that's it, Jeff. We will see you guys tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I can't tell you what it is in your time zone. Just look it up. And that's it. Anything before we get out of here, Jeff? Anything?
You guys are amazing. That's what it is. We had a good support over there on X. Nobody on Twitch. Don't know where the Twitch viewer went. We only have one viewer on Twitch, and he's not holding up his end of the bargain to show up. So I don't know what happened with that.
End of the bargain. Yeah. We're closing down Twitch. If you don't show up, we're closing it down. We're not streaming to Twitch anymore.
Closing it
ain't
down.
Happening.
Too much work. Too much work. And now I realize that I think we're streaming over on Rumble, and I forgot to set up Rumble. I didn't put the right thumbnail, didn't put the right title. So, and I didn't even look. I forgot I clicked the Rumble button, the Rumbleicious button. So if you guys are watching over on Rumble and saying, hey, what the heck? I don't even know if we're streaming over there, to tell you the truth. We may or may not be.
I don't know. We are. Jeff.
No, we're not. We're not even streaming over there. Thought I clicked the button. It says right there, clicked the Rumble button.
Click the button.
Somehow it's not even there. Let me see. Live streaming.
You forgot the button, Jeff? Man, Jeff, really? Come on, dude. Come on.
We are streaming.
You know the thing.
Oh, right. We are streaming. We're streaming with the old of stuff.
Oh, you didn't put the new one up there.
Too. I apologize. I have to apologize to everybody watching us over here on Rumble.
We forgot.
You guys came in with the wrong title, because this is the thing with Rumble.
So
you got to go in and you have to edit everything in Rumble versus everything else. We just set it up in the StreamYard.
Click a button and it goes everywhere except for Rumble.
I got sidetracked. We got people watching. People are commenting. I completely forgot we went live on Rumble. Sorry about that. Tomorrow night we'll be on Rumble. Join us over there again. You guys will be appreciated. We'll put up your comments. We had Bulldog and Davey X1 last comments on there, and Bulldog said Twitch sucks. So you're good with that. That was his last comment. And there we are. And I'm sorry we ignored the Rumble people. So tomorrow night, join us on Rumble.
Yeah,
and we'll check you guys out.
Exactly, guys. That's it.
And I gotta go in and change this. That sucks.
See you guys tomorrow night on the next one. Chip and Jeff
out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.